while I was reading the gospel, I really perceived that what I was reading was more than words in a book. It was a being, something really wanting to communicate with me.
This is Aldates Stories. Stories from St Aldates, Oxford.
My name is Solomon. This is my story. I was born in Madrid in Spain. I lived there for like 18 years, the first 18 years of my life. And then I moved to northern Spain. I just quit that because I didn't like it at all. And I knew I was going to move to the UK at some point, you know, to improve my English, and also I have family here, so just, I don't know, to start something here. So yeah, 10 months ago I came to the UK. I had no place to stay or a job or anything. I just booked the flight and came. So I worked and lived at a hostel in London. And then I moved to Oxford because I was in contact with an agency, an au pair agency. I had several calls with several families around the UK. But finally, the family from Oxford was the one that I was going to go with because I just liked them and they liked me as well. I came to Oxford and I wanted to join a church because about 1 year ago from now, I encountered Jesus. So we'll talk about it later. My first service at St. Aldates, it was kind of special because the last time I have been in a church was maybe like 10 years ago or so. So it was like my first time going to a church after a long time, you know. And it was really moving to me to be standing there and just reading the lyrics of the songs that they were singing. It just touched me inside my heart. And you know, the lyrics, they just speak the truth about when you know Jesus and when you have a relationship with Him. And sometimes if you are conscious about it, just a little bit conscious, it's so overwhelming that you you have to lower down your consciousness, because if not, you would just like, maybe you would, I don't know, have like a disconnection in your brain because it's so powerful and so real and truth. So sometimes when I have that slight consciousness about what Jesus did and how He is, the minimum I do is just cry, or sometimes I just even laugh as well, because sometimes it's funny, just the greatness of God. Back in Spain, I was brought up in a family where I had Catholic family and also Protestant family in my father's side. So when I was maybe 7 years old, like from 5 to 12, going to church on Sundays was like a weekly routine, just as going to school throughout the week. Also on Sundays we went to church. We would say, oh, church from our mother, that was like a Catholic mass. And then we would say, oh, we're going to the church of our father, and it would be just a normal service. And I do remember, for me, it was super boring to go to church. Like I would just go there and just wait for all of that to finish so that we could go because it was like, this is so boring. I knew that after church we were going to IKEA to eat, so that was like the best part of it. I would eat the meatballs, the classic meatballs they have. I really liked them, and yeah, I was just waiting for that moment all morning. And also, I didn't like it because apart from the service, then we will be there like for 2 hours because of my father just chatting with the other people and that. I had like 2, let's say, churches. In the first phase, we went to a church that was like a Hispanic church, evangelical church. So yeah, at least the people spoke Spanish and that. But then like when I was about 11 years old or so, we went to a church that was like more international, and the people there, they were English speakers. So that was even worse for me, so I liked it even worse. Now I've improved my English, but back then it was much worse. And just hearing all these people talking in a different language and having to be there for 4 hours, it was super boring for me. But now I'm grateful that I've been to that church when I was a kid, because maybe I was very bored and that, but there were also moments where I would just hear the songs, and they would like, I would thought just, wow, these songs are beautiful. I was about 12 years old, and I could decide not to go to church because I was old enough to like stay with my older sister at my house or whatever. So I would just decide I'm not going to church. I don't like it at all, so I'm not going. At that point, I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe that I had the need to believe in something. I knew there were a lot of religions, right? And all of them, they have logical arguments to join that particular group. And so why would I join one and not another? So yeah, like for my entire teenage years, from 12 years old to 20 years old, I was what we would say agnostic. I basically thought, I don't know if there's a God or not. I don't know. I respect these people that they believe in a God, but if I don't know it, why would I choose to believe in something that I don't know? Since I was a kid, I just hated reading any type of book. For me, it was like the most boring thing I could ever do. Also with going to church, so both things, going to church and reading any type of book. Some family members, they told me, well, but if you can read something that interests you. But for me, it was super boring. Like, yeah, reading any book was the last thing I would do in a day. But that changed. I don't really know why that changed. Like when I was 18 years old, I just started listening to some podcasts about just entertainment or current news. I was interested in philosophy, history of the political ideas, law, some interesting facts about science or whatever, but in a very superficial level, just listening and that's it. Then I heard people just mentioning different books, right? So I just started reading books like the Odyssey and some Greek mythology and how ancient civilizations looked at the world. So for me, that was like pretty interesting. I was reading some type of book about something, and it referenced a passage from the Bible. I thought, okay, I don't know when, but I want to start reading the Bible at some point. At that time, I was also listening to podcasts regarding religion and Christianity and Jesus. I really like listening to an atheist. I don't know if now he would consider himself an atheist. I like listening to Alex O'Connor. I thought he was honest, at least with what he was saying, and not just like defending a particular position just because of defending it. At that time, my twin brother had already been like moved by the church he went to. He started going to church just because he felt peace inside the church, but he didn't believe in God or anything. So he started going there, and I remember him coming back from church and just singing songs about Jesus and that. And there was a point where it was really annoying because he wouldn't stop. So I would tell him, please Thomas, just stop because it's so annoying. You're always singing these songs, stop. And he just sang them because they were like, I don't know, good songs. He would like them, but he didn't believe in God. Eventually he believed in God. I was like interested, but not just, oh, I'm going to buy this narrative. No, I wasn't like that. I had a Bible, and I just thought, okay, I'm gonna start reading this. So I just went to the internet and I just typed in, where should somebody start reading the Bible? So after just informing me a little bit about the Bible structure and that, I started reading the New Testament. At that point, I was open to a God, to anything. But for me, all the positions that you could have regarding the idea of a God, all of them had arguments that are logical and that aren't like, oh, this is crazy. No, normally you always can find like a good argument to defend that. So yeah, but I just started reading it with an open mind. There was a day where I would say was like the point where I turned to Jesus. I lived in a student's residence in northern Spain, and I was in my bedroom and I had the Bible with me. I started reading the gospel. I was by myself on the room. This is like this is the point where I turned to Jesus. And it's because I was reading the gospel and I was reading these words. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they shall be filled. I knew I was convinced that what I was reading, it wasn't some words that were written there and that they were like very good moral teachings, and that this guy that was appearing there called Jesus, like he was just a guy from history that maybe said that, but we don't really know it. No. This was totally different thing, and I don't really have an explanation to it because I don't know how to explain it. But while I was reading the gospel, I really perceived that what I was reading was more than words in a book. It was a being, something, really wanting to communicate with me through that word. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons of God. I was crying and weeping while reading it. It's what I perceived Jesus was communicating me through my heart. In words it might be like, Oliver, come to me. I know you, and you can know me if you want as well. And if you read those verses, you can't read those words in those verses. But that's what I was perceiving deeply in my heart. It was something communicating with me in the most deepest way it could be. And it never happened to me before. I knew that it was Jesus Christ, not just because it appeared on the words that it was Jesus talking. The perception I had, it was Christ really wanting me to come to Him. Really wanting me to come to Him. So the feeling that I was having, it was someone that knew me deeply, knew all about me, much more than I would know myself, much more. And also, that being loved me profoundly, like a lot, like unbelievably a lot, yeah. Someone might say, well, maybe you were just reading some words that said, I am Jesus and I love you and I know you a lot. But no, I wasn't reading those words, but I knew that He loved me and He knew me deeply, and that He was really trying to reach out to me. So I didn't hear any voice in my head, I didn't see anything in my room, I just had that deep perception. And if I would listen to myself saying this 2 years ago, I would thought I'm crazy. I wouldn't believe it. But the fact is that while I was reading the Bible, I was open. And I think it might be because of that openness that I could perceive that being Jesus Christ reaching me out in a deep way. So yeah, and now that's one of my favorite passages from the Bible. From that point, I started going towards Jesus, trying to know more about Him and deepening my relationship with Him. And that just changed all. It changed all. Every day having this growing in faith, in reflecting Christ's teachings about love, about mercy, about humility, that's so powerful for your life that it would certainly change everything. I wasn't in a circumstance where I kind of needed to hear something like that. No, I was fine at that time. Even though I was open, I wasn't expecting to encounter Jesus or something that loved me so much. No, I wasn't expecting it. And I also didn't want it to happen, because I didn't want to say, oh yeah, there's someone that loves me so much. Well, I would say, how do you know that? I mean, like, that's just a belief you have in your head. But then when you encounter it in a deep way, in a personal way, because that's the word, in a personal way, not because of your family telling you about it, not because of you listening into a podcast that talks about it. All of that, it's like pretty good and it's interesting and it makes sense or not if you don't believe it or whatever. But the fact is, when you encounter Jesus in a personal way, you can't deny that you've encountered him. So now you'll have to follow him. But that's a blessing. So I'm so grateful that I've encountered Jesus in a personal way, and not that I've just decided to join a community because it was my family's tradition or my country's tradition or whatever. No, I didn't want to do that. But it was because of the encounter that I know Jesus and that I want to follow him. It wasn't because all the other things that they come from human understanding and logic. It wasn't because of that. The people that I encounter and that they don't know Jesus, I really understand it, because I also didn't know Jesus. I really would like people to have the same experience, but I know that not all of us have it, and it doesn't always happen like that, and Jesus uses multiple ways for people to come closer to him. I really encourage every person that I encounter, and we talked about Christianity or Jesus. I really encourage you to just go for yourself and read something from the Gospels. You know, you won't lose anything. At least you will just know what people read on the Bible. Or if you're open, you might encounter Jesus at some point. So it doesn't mean that for the first day you read it, you encounter him. No, maybe not. But if you're open, maybe something will happen that you wouldn't expect.
Next time on Aldates Stories.
So that was really cool to realize that there's so many intellectual people who love Jesus and know him very well,